To talk about a recent incident that has raised some troubling questions about the rise of anti-Semitism. Last week, a theatre performance of The Diary of Anne Frank was the target of neo-Nazi protests in Michigan. But what's behind this episode? Let's understand what happened and discuss what it represents in a world where hate speech is increasingly present. For those who missed it, during a play in Fowlerville, a small group of protesters appeared outside the theatre wearing Nazi flags and supremacist symbols. This caused panic among the audience, and many felt unsafe even leaving the venue. These protests have unfortunately become an increasingly common sight in the United States. But we must remember that they carry a history of hatred and destruction, a bitter reminder of the horrors of the Holocaust, which Anne Frank witnessed and recounted in her diary. For those who don't know, the Diary of Anne Frank is one of the most powerful accounts of the Holocaust. Anne, a Jewish teenager, and her family lived in hiding for years to escape the Nazi occupation, and her diary is an intimate testimony of that dark period. The play is not just a theatrical adaptation, it is a way to educate people about the past, keeping alive the memory of millions who were persecuted and murdered. And in this case, we see the sad and frightening impact of a denialist group, interrupting this very attempt to keep history alive. Anti-Semitism has been on the rise globally, and not just in Michigan. Data shows that incidents of hate against Jews have increased, and many are driven by far-right ideologies and conspiracy theories that date back to the last century. Recently, we have seen graffiti, vandalism, and even physical attacks, as happened in Amsterdam, where a statue of Anne Frank was vandalized. These acts are attempts to spread fear and misinformation, but they also reveal how much we still need to learn and act against hate. This episode makes us reflect on the fundamental role of historical memory in times of polarization. The Holocaust is a dark chapter in human history, and every time we allow hate groups to try to overshadow this history, we run the risk of repeating the same mistakes. More than ever, we need to educate new generations about the impact of extremist ideologies, remembering that what happened to Anne Frank and millions of other victims must not, under any circumstances, be forgotten. Ultimately, hate can only spread when we fail to educate and remind. Anti-Semitism and extremism need to be confronted with knowledge and compassion. And I asked you, how can we as a society ensure that stories like Anne Frank's remain alive forever? Leave your opinions in the comments, and together we will combat hate with information. If you liked this content and want to see more analyses like this, leave a like and subscribe to the channel.